So next is Jan Metzger. He used to work for WakeUp page design and did some GDPR aware modules. Actually, he's now living in Hamburg and working just next to here, but he can tell you more. Yeah, the stage is yours.
All right. Okay, the mic's working. I can hear that. I'm gonna show you some GDPR tooling that we've created for Silverstripe over the last years. I guess you all know about it. Just a short reminder: General Data Protection Regulation. It kind of restricts what data or user identifying data you can store or share about users that visit your website, for example. And that has possible implications for third-party services that you integrate into your websites. Maybe a question like who had to change their workflow or parts of their sites when GDPR became into effect. Okay, I see some hands. Who liked doing that? Yeah, that's kind of what I expected. For myself, it's like a little conflicted because I think it's kind of hard to implement. It's a bit washy, and you don't really know what is the right way to do it and what isn't. But on the other hand, I think it's a great step to give users the power about their data. And today, I don't want to confront you with problems. I want to show you some solutions that we've built that you can maybe drop in to your instances. And yeah, so some problems. Okay, short disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer. I'm only telling you what our lawyer told us. And when your lawyer tells you something, you don't tell them no. You do what they say. So yeah. Problems might be embeddings, like Google Maps, for example, passing the IP addresses to the US, to Google services. It's also a problem with Google Fonts and analytics, or other CDNs. So, like I said, what our lawyer told us, it's, yeah, I'm just saying what we have done. And to talk about the first problem, there are already great self-host solutions. We just heard about one. One is Matomo, and personally, I think it's great. We've used it in many instances, and you already saw modules. I'm not going to talk about it. But we've also asked ourselves if it's possible to get something right into Silverstripe that's a bit more basic, that clients can just click on and then see stats and everything. And yeah, that's why we decided to build one. You can see an example right here. This is like the backend of Silverstripe. You have different graphs, for example, how many hits you got a day and what pages users have visited, what browsers they use, and devices. And you can also filter out by date. And yeah, the easy thing about this is it's right in the backend. There's no external service you have to install. Everything runs through the database. And if you don't have a high demand website, it's fine, it's going to work out. If you have a website with too many requests, it might be problematic. But yeah, for small websites, it's definitely fine. Interestingly, it uses Matomo's device tracker to identify browsers, for example. And it has some mechanisms to filter out bots and stuff like that. You can also extend it. For example, there's a subsize extension already. So it works with that. It has different statistics for subsites. Then you could also, for example, create a Fluent extension, or if you want to track referrers or where users are coming from, you can also extend it. And yeah, the link, I'll show all the links later on. But yeah, it's under GitHub WakeWorks. It's just called Analytics. Then another problem might be iframes. For example, I just talked about Google Maps. And you might have seen already that some websites implement a mechanism that asks users to click a button and confirm that they read the privacy policy before loading the content. And it's, yeah, that's fine and everything, but it's not really intuitive for end users because they would have to manipulate the iframe code with maybe a JavaScript class or whatever. And we've decided to also implement something like that right in Silverstripe. So when you are in TinyMCE, there's a button which you can click on. Okay, that image is not good quality, but anyways, you can paste the iframe code into it. You can also change some settings like background image, the text, or the button that you've seen in the picture before. And then a shortcode will be inserted right into TinyMCE. And users can click the button to enable iframes to that host. So for example, if you have multiple YouTube videos on one side, it enables the iframes for all of the YouTube videos. It also saves that into the user's local storage, so it's not annoying to them. And you can also customize it globally, so you don't have to, like users don't always have to set background images, text, or anything like that. It's called Privacy and also available on GitHub. And now another interesting part is loading external scripts or CSS files because some people also thinking that this is not allowed sometimes, for example, using Google Fonts. And self-hosting is not always an option, for example, if the terms of service doesn't allow it. And we've built a module that is able to proxy the requests through your server. So the user kind of makes a request to your server makes a request to the resource in the US or something like that, and then it sends back the data. Yeah, exactly. And basically you implement a rule. So this rule is called some font. It loads a font file or CSS file from a server. And then in your HTML file you can, or in your template files you can print out the link or require it. And yeah, just a disclaimer to that, it doesn't make any sense to use that to remove CDN links, for example, because then you're just taking away the advantage of a CDN. If you have problems with that, just self-host the file. We use this, for example, for tracking links, or some font providers, they want to track how many page views you got, how often people load fonts, and we use that to proxy requests like that. So it doesn't make any sense to use this for, like I said, replacing CDNs. And yeah, it also has like some protections, for example, rate limiting, so people don't DOS other services using your server. That would be not great. You can also extend it, and yeah, it's also on GitHub called request proxy. And yeah, that's it. So those are the 3 links again. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Jan, for this talk. Do you have any questions? Yes.
Thank you for the talk. Is there also a refer validation or something like that? Or can anybody access those URLs and use them in your proxy server?
Oh, you mean in the last module? Can you repeat the question? I don't really understand.
So the proxy URL is, I think, a public URL on your own domain.
Yeah, yeah.
Can it be used by everybody out there on the web, or is it?
In theory, yes. It's like a URL through a controller, and when someone calls it, it proxies the request. So it is public in that sense. I don't really see a way to do that otherwise. So in theory, people could just call it.
Okay, thank you very much for the first talk of Wake, and next time we will see Tommy on the stage, I will be sure.